Doesn't speak a lot, but we did talk him into coming here, and give a warm welcome to Dan Thies.
I do actually almost a full day of content on keyword research in my advanced SEO classes, and we're going to do that in an hour and 15 minutes or less now. I've sort of dropped out some of the basic stuff like keywords are good. We usually spend half a day on that. So what we're going to talk about here in terms of keyword strategy, one is brainstorming and discovery, just a little bit about the process on that. Not that that's something that you have to own entirely, but certainly the brainstorming part of it is something that you're going to go through a lot of ideas. Some of them are going to be good ideas, some of them are going to be bad ideas. Part of how you figure out which ones are good ideas is doing the discovery work and finding out what's going on in the market. So our mission is sort of to draw a picture of the keyword space around a market. We're going to talk about relevance and the concept of weighted popularity. We'll talk about what I refer to as modifiers and mining the tail. Talk about creating a feedback loop, and then we actually have some other content that I don't think we'll probably end up getting to because there are things I need to show you today. But let's talk about brainstorming and discovery. And the idea here with brainstorming is you're trying to find these sort of the candidate search terms, things that might be good search terms. You want to be able to, you don't really want to leave anything on the table at this stage. This is the first thing you're going to do is figure out what might be a good search term, okay? You haven't made a decision yet on what is or isn't because you don't have any data yet. But you want to be able to compare apples to apples. And there are a lot of different keyword tools out there. There's Overture, there's Word Tracker, there's a bunch of different tools out there. The problem is when you get into trying to compare numbers from one tool to another. And I'll talk about the tools that are available and why we use the ones we use. But you definitely want to compare apples to apples. You don't want to say, well, this one's better because it's got a count of 10,000 on Overture and it's only got a count, this other one has a count of 300 on Word Tracker, so this one's good and that one's bad. Actually, the one with a count of 300 on Word Tracker is probably a lot more popular than the one with a count of 10,000 on Overture. And so you don't want to start mixing and matching and trying to go too crazy. At this point, you're just trying to gather candidates. So you don't want to leave anything on the table. You want to go after things that are conceptually related, categories, product categories, specific products, thematic things, lawn care, that kind of stuff that doesn't really generally relate to a specific thing, but it might relate to one, products and services, but two, to problems and solutions that people are seeking. And so let's go ahead and jump past that because y'all get that idea already. If anybody is like, I lost you, just go like this real quick so I'll know that I can actually talk a little bit longer about something. The keyword discovery tools that are out there, there's keyworddiscovery.com, which is fairly new. They have the largest database, and you might think that's a good thing, but it's not. Because they've collected their data from basically random sources. They have seasonal data, which is the advantage of keyword discovery. If you're right now worried about, hey, I'm going to get into this business of selling Hanukkah gifts, well, don't go on Word Tracker to try and find information about that because their data only lasts for 2 months and then they throw it away. Well, actually, they've been archiving it for the last year because I yelled at them enough times that they finally got the idea that they need to have seasonal data. But at this point, keyword discovery is good for seasonal search terms. Not that you can trust the counts that you get from keyword discovery, but because at least they have some data, that at least you can find out what words people used to search for Hanukkah gifts last December. You can't trust the seasonal data because according to keyword discovery, the peak months for searching for Hanukkah gifts is April and May. Yeah, I count on that data. That's good stuff. The cool thing that keyword discovery has that nobody else sort of in the easily accessible space has built is a keyword spider. That is, you can throw a URL, a web page, at it. It'll spider that, and if anybody's played with keyword density analyzers that pull out all the possible things that might be search terms, you'll get like and, but, the, all kinds of useless jibba-jabba stuff. Well, these guys have done the intelligent thing, which is to take that list of things that might be search terms and go look for counts in their database. So if they've got something that might be a search term and people have actually searched for it, then it's really a search term. It's not a search term if nobody searches for it. It's one of those sort of secrets that we don't want anybody to know. It's highly valuable secret information. So we use Word Tracker primarily for the reports that we do. Not that it's the only sort of tool we use to do research, but when we boil it down to data, we use Word Tracker because they have the cleanest database. They have the comprehensive search tools, which I'll show you how we use those to look for modifiers. We can extract pay-per-click bids from Overture as part of an automated reporting process that doesn't take us, you don't have to do it by hand or anything like that. And there is known market share for Dogpile and Metacrawler, which are the source search engines, which allows us to, at least on a limited way, project what the actual search volumes might be on Google, MSN, Yahoo, and also with that, how many click-throughs you'd be likely to get for a 1, 5, 10 ranked position. Important stuff. But the other side of discovery is the brainstorming piece. And so we use a tool called Good Keywords. We have a lot of other tools. We have a lot of tools that I've hacked together that are little like bookmarklet things that run in the browser with JavaScript and do cool things. But Good Keywords is great because it lets you use the Overture suggestion tool, and it will go and pull related searches from Teoma and AltaVista. AltaVista has this really cool technology called Prisma that Yahoo bought and still for some reason hasn't actually implemented on Yahoo search. But if you go search for internet marketing, it'll suggest stuff like search engine marketing. It'll suggest stuff like conversion rate. And actual really related things, things that are really conceptually related, as opposed to most of them just add extra words onto, most of the search term suggestion things just add extra words onto what you asked for, and you get a bunch of weird stuff, and you would never get, typing in search engine optimization on most of them, you would never get it to mention Brad Fallon. But if someone's searching for that, they might want to know about Brad. So Good Keywords is good. It's also free. We use that in, of course, our own junk. But I want to take you back here and talk about the data that you get, because one of the things that's kind of a problem with any sort of database of search term information is that people that check their rankings can skew that data. Our example here, out of this, you can see, if you squint really hard, that Barbershop Seattle Wallingford was searched 12 times in the prior 2 months before this was pulled on Dogpile and Metacrawler. Now, it was searched quite a lot for something so specific. So, which is more likely? 12 people searched for a barbershop in the Wallingford district in Seattle, maybe, might have been one person navigating by search, or someone downloaded Web Position Gold and they checked the box to go ahead and hammer Dogpile and Metacrawler, and they've been running a report every week. A complex search term is rarely used more often than the simpler version. Sort of obvious, but people will go and find, these weird, like 9-word search terms in WordTracker with a count of 100, and, well, the KEI is great. I'm going to spend a bunch of money developing content that nobody's ever going to see. So you don't do that. The other thing that when we talk about WordTracker, there's this KEI concept. If you haven't heard of it, good, because it's useless. So forget about it if you have, and if you haven't heard about it, don't look. It's not useful. And one of the reasons why is that they don't have any kind of sensible way at looking at what the level of competition is. Now, who is your competition? If you're after barbershop, is it 749,000 web pages that have those words on it? Well, no, not really. Most of them are there by accident in that 749,000. They're not going to be in the top 1,000. They're definitely not going to be in the top 10, which is the only place you want to be. So, okay, 5,810 of them did SEO 101, and they put the words in the page title. Okay, that's a smaller group, right? Now we go down to 2,960 that had the words in the title and in the text of incoming links, which is SEO, not SEO 101, it's SEO 2001, which is about when anybody that had any clue knew by then that links mattered more than what was on the page. So when you start to boil it down to what the real competition is, a lot of these things that you think, oh my God, it's too competitive, and you start to boil it down, how hard could it be? It's just, well, really, if you know what you're doing, it's just a resource management problem. The problem is where the resources come from, and we'll be talking about conversion, I'm sure, at some point in the next couple of days, but people that can do the most with the traffic can do the most to get the traffic. So you have to work both sides of it, and you have to optimize for business results. Rankings are useless by themselves. You need to worry about business results. So when we start to talk about relevance, and this is really, when you get into the keyword data, you want to start to understand what is and isn't relevant, and I'll show you how we use that in a minute. But you look at these top ranked pages that you see for, you've decided, you know what, there aren't enough people buying wedding favors from Brad, so I'm going to start a site and do that. And I want mine to be in the top 10. So what do? Do a search for wedding favors on the major search engines, and you see what's ranked. Well, first of all, if nothing showing in the top 10 is remotely similar, well, that might be good, or it might be that, your desire to sell unlicensed pharmaceuticals or unlicensed drugs or unlicensed prescriptions, Google has already adjusted the semantic interpretation of that query so that your page that actually sells unlicensed drugs is never going to show up against all the information sites that try to stop people from buying from you. So, if none of them are similar, that's not necessarily a good thing. If they're all similar, that means you've got a lot of competition. But at least it's a market that's, it's more likely to be a market that's worth chasing, and you can do more to validate that later. But look, are these pages optimized? When you're thinking about competition and you see that, 2 out of the top 10 pages really appear to be optimized and the rest of them are there for some other reason, we'll let these guys talk about SEO later. But you've got to get some sense in terms of relevance and competition before you go and invest resources. And if they're well linked, basic stuff, right? You want to be able to do that. Well, our reports allow you to do a lot of that preliminary stuff without having to do it. It's done for you by a machine and just delivered to you in numbers that are boiled down. So what your job really comes to, and I'll just go ahead and show you one of our keyword reports right now. I'm going to go ahead and drag it over here. Okay. And there. This is we actually have, those of you that can't see the bottom here, we actually have 5 different worksheets that come in our reports in a big Excel workbook. But this first one gives you a long list of things that might be candidate search terms. This one was done sort of generically for flowers. You've got a count from Word Tracker, and this little column here, relevance, matters so much to your decisions about how much traffic you're going to get, because you only want the ones that buy. So, sir.
I'm sorry. Yeah, guys, everybody, we didn't make this clear. We're buying you these reports. So we'll buy you a report for your site. I don't think we made that clear.
Yeah, I'm not selling them. I already sold them. So, but you're going to be using it.
But you need to understand how the information is disseminated. So, sorry about that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem. That probably is something to mention. So yes, actually this is relevant to you because you're going to be getting one of these and they'll be talking to you about it. So, but when you're looking at relevance, just understand, some terms have multiple meanings. In fact, most words mean more than one thing, right? In fact, I did a presentation at SES a couple years ago where I actually went through 2 slides using as many ambiguous terms as possible. After this until everybody actually got the joke. But I didn't do it again. It takes 2 slides and then it's a bad joke. So, some people obsess about keywords and other people just use them to make money. I'm not sure where I am at this point. I guess both. But, some people are looking to buy, others are looking for information. The guy from John Slade from Overture, now Yahoo Search Marketing, who does one of the sessions with us at SES, talks about buying modes. Some people are doing information searches, some people are doing comparison searches, some people are actually looking for that specific thing that they want to buy, and they may be price shopping or they may just be in a hurry. But the different types of search terms can sometimes give you some hint of the searcher's intent, although the stuff that is more generic, you just really can't suss out exactly what they're looking for, and we'll talk about why that matters and how you deal with it. But you want to be careful with generic search terms before you dump a bunch of resources in it. There's a lot of ways to test. One is pay per click. One is to just look at the pay per click bids and see if anybody's paying for it. You got this really popular search term that the bids on Overture are 20 cents. It's probably not converting for anybody. Okay, especially if you look at the more specific ones that indicate a definite intent to buy, like buy one now kind of search terms, and they're bidding $5, okay? That gives you some sense of the relative value of the traffic for the generic search terms. And you can get that out of the Overture data, which, if I jumped back to that Excel spreadsheet, is worksheet number 5. So an example also is like a concept like a term like brake repair. Now, by itself, it's probably someone looking for information or who just really doesn't know how to search. But if I type in brake repair Atlanta, well, I probably want someone to work on my brakes, and I probably don't want how-to tips on how to do brake repair in Atlanta, okay? So those geographic searches, those kind of searches are incredibly valuable. There's a lot of tools that let you spin up local keyword lists now. There are a lot of tools that will, you can actually input a zip code and get, your search terms with every city, town, suburb, et cetera, within however many miles of them. Boy, that's rough unless you're doing pay-per-click, but it's certainly a great way to be able to do pay-per-click and really get good specific targeting for cheap. So, example here. What does barbershop mean? There's a lot of different things out there. There's actually a couple of movies. I've seen a barbershop quartet, and someone might actually be looking for a barbershop. Even then, are they looking for a haircut or a shave? We don't know yet. I use Word Tracker every day, almost. And when you log on, there's this little ticker across the top that says, the top keywords. Well, I logged on one day, and the first number one search term on the internet for that day was Paris Hilton. And I said, oh my God, did it catch on fire? No, it didn't. There's the Hilton Paris and there's the Paris Hilton. This webpage actually used to say, welcome to the Paris Hilton. It doesn't anymore. They decided to differentiate. And I just can't say that I blame them. I won't discuss my theories about Ms. Hilton with you today because we just don't have enough time to tear the lid off that little conspiracy, do we? No. Okay. So when we talk about evaluating relevance, what you're really trying to figure out now is what percentage of the searchers out there using that search term actually would want what you have, would have some interest. Not they're instantly ready to buy, right? That might be too high of a standard, although you can use that kind of a standard. With this, you can use your judgment, which is another word for guessing. Dig into the numbers, or you can test, and you really want to do all three. The weighted popularity formula that we use is to take the number of searches multiplied by the percentage relevance, and that gives you a weighted popularity. So, for example, if you believe that there are 1,000 searches a day for potato chips, okay, and your website only sells, blue corn potato chips that aren't even made with potatoes and taste really nasty, and they tried to give them to me on the airplane the other day. 0.1% relevant. So really there's only one targeted search out of that a day. If it's 50% relevant out of 1,000, then there's really only 500 targeted searches a day, 500 searches a day that you're interested in. Now there might be 1,000 going on, but really you're only interested in 500. The other half of them, click to your homepage, bounce back, complain to Google about the search result maybe. I don't know. But quality traffic really depends on relevance. And so now if you're doing some kind of AdSense play where you don't really care where the traffic comes from because you're just trying to track someone and get a click, I can't advise you on that because I think it's a waste of time. But others may have better advice for you on that subject. Yes?
How do you determine the relevance?
Well, good question. We're right there now. Oops. Don't know why I did those two in a row. What we like to do, besides guessing and before testing, is to do a little bit of assessment based on the numbers. And the cool thing that people do when they search and they don't get what they want, which with these general search terms they often don't, is they go back and they add more words to their query. Not all of them, but some of them do. And so we take a pretty quick run through the comprehensive search tools on Word Tracker. And basically with that, you can type in a search term like, in our example here, web hosting, okay? And you can get a list of all the search terms that include web hosting. You can get a list 500 long, and we're going to talk about a couple ways to use that. One of them is this idea of assessing relevance. And so remember the formula now. Actual count times percentage relevance equals weighted popularity. And so this is a weighted score column here. And I'll go point it out over there just for fun. But we took the count from Word Tracker out of all these, and there's column headings here. The extended term, which just means the way that someone has taken web hosting and they didn't get what they wanted, so they've refined that search. They've added more words to it to help the search engine give them what they want and to figure out the right results. So The most popular refinement for web hosting is free web hosting. There's a count of 4,231. Now, we do a really quick process, which with this, we just say yes, no, or maybe. Is it relevant? Yes, it's relevant. 100% is our score. No, it's not relevant. 0. Maybe 50%. You can jimmy with that, and you can come with numbers from 1 to 10, but if you do this a long enough list, it doesn't really matter whether you just do yes, no, maybe, or do something that is more difficult. Because the number that you get at the top ultimately is going to be about the same, and it's not going to be any more scientific than what you'll ultimately get by testing. So we can take our list of things that ways that people have refined it and say, well, this one we actually did this for was a company that's high-end hosting. So free web hosting, not an option from them. Website hosting, yes, we host websites, 100% relevant. Cheap web hosting, no, we're not cheap and we don't want to be thought of as cheap, 0. Now, whether or not that was a good choice or not, it doesn't really matter because when you get through the list, unless you screw up at the very top, it doesn't really make that much difference. Cheap web hosting services, yeah, that's relevant. Web hosting service, free website hosting, heck no, et cetera, et cetera. And when we boil it down, we multiply the count by the relevance for each of these rows and get a score, and then we add that up. 3,030 targeted searches out of that group, 9,230 total searches, 33% relevant, which is actually pretty good. We did some work with an interior design firm. They were absolutely convinced. Actually, they weren't our client, thank God. I don't have clients anymore like that. But the firm we were working with, their client absolutely insisted that they needed to be top spots on Google organically for interior design. And they are an interior design firm that operates in London and does not go outside of the UK. Now, we assumed that they actually could go outside of the UK if we told them there was enough business. But we did this exercise with them, and we let them put in the numbers of how relevant things were. And when we looked at all the different ways that people refine that search, we realized that our best case scenario, our most optimistic thing we could come up with, if they would change their business model and go worldwide, 7% relevant for interior design. People are using that or searching for interior design schools, interior design tips. They're looking for Martha Stewart. They're looking for Interior Design Magazine. They're looking for jobs. They're looking for a lot of things, but most of the time, at least 93% of the time, and probably a whole lot more, they are not actually interested in hiring an interior design firm, much less one that is in London and does not go anywhere else. So we helped them understand that that was not a core, shouldn't be a core part of their strategy. Now, that doesn't mean that the words interior and design in that order aren't going to be part of a lot of search terms that they target. Interior design firm, interior design agency, interior design agent. For some reason, people in England say agent about stuff. I don't know why, but they do. So it's not that word isn't, that phrase isn't going to be part of your keyword strategy. It's just not something that you should be panicked and worried about like it's some kind of core element of your strategy. This is just a slide that shows doing the math on the spreadsheet. We have, when you get it, the first one you're going to get will have search terms and account, and then just a column to bang in relevance. First thing you want to do is just take a swag at it. Just take your own swag at it, because believe me, you won't screw yourself out of any traffic because you will always overestimate the relevance of any search term that you're looking at. That's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing to be a little bit overconfident because, you know what? You can make it up with volume, right? If you get enough traffic. Now, if you're down at like 7% relevance, you're at a point where you're probably wasting money to throw resources at it, even if it is an extremely popular search term, unless nobody else is any more relevant. Then you may as well be there, and that's why you go and actually look at what's ranked. Yes.
What percentage would you start saying, all right, this search term is pretty useful?
I wouldn't do it that way at all. What I do, and what I would recommend that you do, is to go ahead, put in some concept of relevance, and this column here, it says weighted count. That's how many targeted searches per day. I just sort by that, descending, so that whichever search term has the most targeted searches per day is at the top. These are the search terms that are reaching your target audience. I don't care if I'm 1% relevant, if there's enough searches, then it's in front of my target audience. Now, is that necessarily going to be core to SEO strategy? Well, you've got to look at whether you can convert and that kind of thing. But definitely, there's more things that the keyword research does than just tell you what to do in SEO or pay-per-click. It should inform your content strategy. It tells you what your market is searching for. It should inform your layout, your design. If you're doing home electronics and it turns out that there's a whole lot more searches for DVD players than for VCRs, maybe you don't want to prominently feature that discount VCR offer on the homepage. Maybe you want to put the DVD offer on the homepage. So this tells you a lot more than just SEO. But I would say 1% relevant. You're going to be climbing a tall mountain. But if you're 10% relevant, that's actually pretty good. And if you're relevant to 1 out of 10 searchers, then why can't you be 1 out of 10 search results on the first page? That seems fair to me. Nobody from Google is here to dispute it. Sorry. We're going to drop back down a little bit here into tactics and talk about, for SEO, what you're trying to do here is you're trying to assess the competition. Really, you know the drill. You know what the sledgehammer looks like, right? Optimized content, internal links, and external links. Don't, by the way, ignore the value of the internal links. I'm sure you'll hear about that, but if you haven't already. But pay-per-click, you're talking about comparing bids. You're talking about comparing creatives, offers, in industries. One thing that you'll discover in certain areas that you can't compete in pay-per-click because you're in the wrong business. For example, if you sell storm windows, doing a pay-per-click bid on Windows, no, the software guys have you beat. If you sell asbestos, somebody's got to sell this stuff, right? I don't know. But if you actually sell asbestos, good luck with the $50 per click it's going to cost you to get traffic for that word from pay-per-click search engines. You're going to have to find another strategy, maybe organic, but a lot of times on the paid side, you find out you're just in the wrong business. If you're a doctor that helps people with mesothelioma, too bad, because there are people that will sue someone over it that can pay more money to talk to people, regardless of what your good intentions might be. You might be curing people for free, and it just doesn't matter because you can't get in front of them with pay-per-click. And the other thing, too, here is don't forget about content. If people are searching for it on the search engines, they're also looking for it on your site. One of the things that I recommend anyone do if their site is more than one page is start thinking about site search, because the words that people use on your internal search tells you, one, how good or bad your design is and how usable you are, but two, it also tells you a lot of things about what they're looking for that you might not have thought of. And when you can actually catch a customer searching the way a customer does, that's kind of handy, even if it's a minimal amount of data. If you get 1,000 visitors a day and 30 of them search, that's a lot of useful information. Anyway, I'm going to jump to the pay-per-click metric, and this is there's so many ways that you can sort of use the pay-per-click bids that you see as tea leaves when it comes to doing search engine marketing. But one is that a search term is competitive or will be very soon if there's heavy competition for the paid listings. If people are paying $5 a click and the organic competition doesn't look that tough, it's coming, most likely, because there's more and more information about this about there all the time about what keywords are being used in different industries. There's competitive intelligence tools that are starting to mature. There's a whole lot of things. There's Google Spy now that you can go look at for free, and there'll be some small chance that you'll actually be able to see some of your competitor search terms on that. So that's one thing. It can just give you a sense of, organic looks easy because there's not that many, but if the bids are up there, then the competition is coming if it's not there already. And really, the level of competition can be deceptive until you actually get in and look at the actual search listings and see what's going on. And there isn't really any easy way to boil that down. We can just give you ways to approximate and get to figuring out what you need to look at faster. Pay-per-click bids can define the value of a top ranking, right? So if they're only paying a dime per click for books and they're paying $1 per click for fishing books, well, that's because one is more specific and converts better. And you'll find a lot of the time that the pay-per-click bids on something that looks like it's just a darn tempting search term because the search volumes are so high. But why is the max bid on Overture 11 cents? Why is that? Because it's not like nobody else has access to Word Tracker, right? It's not like this market, if it's big enough, hasn't been gone over by 100 search engine marketers. It may be that people have actually tested and found out, you know what? We burned $1,000 and we made $500, so we're not going to do that anymore. And so they lower their bids. Gaining traffic through organic listings can actually be more costly than paid listings in some cases. And usually that happens in those cases where you see the lower bids on pay-per-click, and it's one of those big generic terms that doesn't convert, and you see 1 million people out there throwing doorway pages and link buys and all that kind of stuff at it. You're trying to jam signal through some noise there, and there may be better opportunities and better ways to use your resources. The click-through rate on your paid listings, if you do them, and I would hope that everybody at least at some point brings that into your strategy. It's a key indicator of relevance, and it can be very helpful with generic search terms. And we'll talk hopefully in just a minute about doing targeting studies and that kind of thing with pay-per-click. One thing to be aware of, and I don't have to sell you a keyword report because you've already bought one, but beware of the free keyword research offers that you'll find from Canoodle or this is being recorded. I didn't say Canoodle, and I'm not going to name anybody else that and it wasn't Canoodle that actually did this, of course, but I went and said, sure, yeah, go ahead, send me my free keyword list. Website. That was on the list from most of them. Oh yeah, website's real targeted for keyword research, ain't it? I mean, people do it for websites, so that the dollar they thought I should go and bid on that, and their goal, and even when it gets to the ones that are more professional about it, Overture, Yahoo Search Marketing, and Google have people that will give you a list of keywords. When you get it, prepare to be disappointed and recognize that it's a lot more about them getting more people bidding on some search terms, and it's a lot more about them getting more clicks than it is about really helping you find the target audience that you're after. It's I don't even know what to say. It's like why would you trust them? Just hand them your wallet and say, just take whatever you want. I mean, why would anybody anyway? Okay, I won't go on about that too much. So the search term targeting study is something that we do sometimes when we just need to get to the ground truth. There's a couple ways you can actually use this information, but basically the idea is you do a pay-per-click campaign. So you've got some list of search terms, and you just don't know, gosh darn it, you've done everything you can, you just can't make a decision. You can spend money to inform the decision and buy that brain time back, buy some of your RAM back by not thinking about it for a while. Basically, the concept of targeting study, you write a very descriptive ad. You try and minimize the hype. In general, you don't want to throw some kind of a big offer out there, like $10,000 free for clicking. If you're gonna do an offer, make it relevant to the desire for what you offer should actually somehow relate to a desire for what you sell. Back in the early dark ages of website promotion, I'll take you back to maybe 1995 and 96. People were starting up these things where you could participate in like an online lottery. Okay, you paid $100 a month, and probably several hundred other people did as well. And then you could incent people to visit your website. Click here to enter a drawing for $10,000. Problem is, everybody wants $10,000, right? And back then, people were dumb enough to actually, here's my real email address. Go ahead. But getting people to click through to your site from an email, an ad, or whatever because they wanted $10,000 is useless. The guy I worked with back in '98, I think it was selling Palm Pilot software. And there was this thing he could get into real cheap where they could do a drawing for a Palm Pilot. Can anyone tell me why attracting people who want a Palm Pilot isn't going to attract people who want Palm Pilot software. If you're trying to win a free Palm Pilot, you probably don't have one. So, anyway, okay. That somehow relates to keywords and relevance, I'm sure. But the idea here is we write a really descriptive ad. So, and ours says keyword research reports powered by word tracker data, fast professional service, a little bit of hype there, right? But if we don't say something that no one would click through, and that's not really our top ad anymore. But test the ad's performance against your candidate search terms, because keyword research was not our best target. Some of the ones that, we get things now where we got like 15, 20% click-through rate on. Search term analysis was pretty good. Popular search terms was pretty good. Top search terms. You know what the problem is with top search terms? That's a pay-per-click target only for us. You know why? Go Google it sometimes. You'll get Google's top search terms, Alta Vista's top search terms, what's hot on Yahoo, Yahoo Buzz. Yeah, like I'm going to outdo them on link pop, right? I mean, so that's one. It's good. It converts like crazy. I didn't put my conversion column on here because I'm not dumb, but top search terms, popular search terms, those things, they're great. Good click through, good conversion. A lot of the people that are doing that are looking for keyword data for doing SEO or something, or at least they're interested in SEO. But you know what? There's no way I was going to do anything but buy my way into it. But looking at these things, now the click-through rate tells you quite a bit about how relevant searchers saw us, right? You don't want to ever do this test and try and bid your way to number one, which means you often have to go back in and continually reduce the bid because on the ones that are relevant, because they will jump up to the top and start to get more clicks. But you can find out a lot about what's relevant. If you're getting a 3 or 4% click-through rate on AdWords for a descriptive ad, you've probably got something that's well worth placing in the organic side. If you're getting 0.5% or the search term is getting turned off, that's probably not a good organic target either. Bonus 1, you get search term counts from Google. Bonus 2, you actually get to drive traffic to your website for different search terms and figure out how it converts and maybe make your site convert better. And you can also do stuff like local targeting. We get a lot of people, can you give us how many searches in Google from Australia? No, but Google can. You have to pay them. You go run a Google AdWords campaign that's targeted Australia. Run it for a week, see how many impressions you get, and that's a pretty good idea of how often it's being searched, as long as you bid high enough and have a good enough budget that your ad keeps appearing on the first page. So you get a lot of good data out of this kind of activity, but it's not something you would do for every search term. So anyway, let's get past relevance and talk about mining the tail. And the concept of the long tail of search is, it's kind of old, but the generic search terms generate a high volume. What you may not know is that in any given month, out of all the searches on Google, half of them are unique. That is, they happened once that month. And they may have happened once in the history of the world. But half of the searches are one-off searches. The folks from Teoma told us that, and if you used ask.com for a search and you see the 400 AdWords ads that appear before the actual search results, they don't think that's a problem because 80% of the searches on ask.com generate no ads. They trigger 0 ads. 80% of searches trigger 0 paid ads on ask.com, okay? Wow. There's a lot of search terms out there that aren't commercial or that people just aren't aware of. And one of the things that you cannot guess every possible way that people are going to search for what you have. So to appear in the organic search results, if you can guess that they're going to search for wedding favors, you can put up a page for wedding favors. You can buy links that say wedding favors or encourage people to just naturally link to you out of pure love because they think you have a great resource. Because that happens all the time. Just make great content, guys, and the world will come to you, except that there's 100 other people doing the same thing, and why would you be any better? But, okay, so what we want to do here is look at the fact that you can't guess what the search terms are going to be. In fact, most of the search terms that drive traffic to my sites, I wouldn't have put up, a page dedicated to that, but yet I've got pages dedicated to the keyword space. And so we use keyword modifiers, and basically, if you've got all the words in the search query on the page, the longer the query, the more likely you are to just show up, number one, for no good reason other than that you actually used all the words. Amazingly enough, it still works. In fact, it works better now than it used to because people are getting better at searching. People are learning that you can't just type in car and get that information about that specific car that you wanted to hear about. It's getting to where searchers are getting smarter. More than half of searches now are 3 or 4 words or more. That wasn't the case just a few years ago. So what we do here, and this is again with the word tracker, this is from the compressed multi-search, but we went ahead and banged in web hosting as a search term, okay? And we got our list of 500 words or 500 search terms that included web hosting. And I've just put the short list here. Again, free web hosting, very popular. Website hosting, cheap web hosting services, web hosting service, business web hosting, ADSL web hosting. I don't know what that is. I'm not in the business. Doesn't make sense to me. But web page hosting, web hosting Connecticut. Oh, rank checking, right? Is Connecticut the largest state?
No.
Why? Is there some natural advantage to web hosting in Connecticut that we're not aware of, perhaps? Maybe. I mean, data centers Phoenix is probably not going to be as popular as data centers Austin, data centers, there are certain things where there might be some. Connecticut? I don't think so. That's like way out there by the ocean, right? It's going to fall in one of these days. It's not a safe place to host your website. So, affordable, professional, design, B2B, CT. Oh, well, gee, you think? Connecticut's getting pretty popular. Somebody is hammering the heck out of this thing with Web Position Gold. UK web hosting, commercial web hosting, PHP web hosting, best web hosting, Canadian, e-commerce, low cost. You go down this list, adult, gay, okay. There's a market, right, where some people can't find anyone to host their website. So if you serve those markets, you can potentially do very well. Again, website hosting, Orange County. Not that many people there. Is it somebody at Disneyland that's just trying to find a new provider and they just keep navigating by search? It could be, but it's probably just rank checking, and usually you can identify that stuff pretty easily. And if you can't, worst case is you throw an extra word on a page that doesn't do you any good. But you can take this and you can go through and make a long list. It'll be stuff like MySQL, ASP, NT, ASP.NET, blah, blah, blah. You'll find all kinds of things, and this stuff changes over time as markets change. But I can guarantee you that if you built a page that was best Canadian PHP adult web hosting, pretty much all you'd have to do is just put those words on the page, and you'd probably be somewhere up there. If you do the basic optimization and do things like understand that these are important modifiers that people use, using relevant modifiers, and just making them bold text or italic or something like that in your copy can jump you up if you didn't magically appear there anyway. But these modifiers, folks, are worth, in a lot of cases, worth more than the generic search terms. If you do a good job with it, you can get more traffic from the tail end of search where there's almost no competition than you get from the stuff where there's competition, even when you're doing well in the competition. And talk about targeted traffic, talk about stuff that's going to convert. You can plot it out. If you got enough data from your shopping cart, if you've made a few thousand sales, folks, just the longer the search term, the higher the conversion rate. Okay, that doesn't apply to every single one. There are exceptions, but if you look at the data, from 1-word searches to 5-word searches, it's going to be a curve that goes up towards the longer search terms in terms of your conversion rate. So definitely well worth, if you're doing SEO, if you're going after the organic side, make sure that you understand what all belongs in your copywriting. I would recommend, even if you're having us or someone else do your keyword research, your core keyword research, you can get 15 out of the free trial on Word Tracker, so you can get some sense, and it depends on how much effort you want to make. But the bigger the market, the more, with web hosting, get a word tracker account and go dig out every damn word that belongs in your copy. If you don't do that for search terms where the core search term has 20 searches a month or something like that, then you're burning daylight over something that you could, go fishing. You'll probably make more money. But if you look at I'll reference some math from that last chart there. 8,539 searches for web hosting by itself, just like that. An additional 12,281 with modifiers added. So that's just the top 30. Actually, the list goes down thousands. So the tail is bigger than the head, okay? There is a whole lot more search out there that nobody's going after. 200 million searches a day on Google, half are brand new. I got some clarification on that in any given month, half the searches on Google literally are one-offs for that month. Teoma, 80% of the searches didn't trigger ads. Now, some of them shouldn't, I guess, but it's probably more than 20% that there's someone with a commercial interest in appearing in the search results. Let's...
Could that 20% also be the levers that they put on their searches? So, maybe they're focused more on the exact versus the broad matches. They can kind of gauge those levers and how...
Well, Teoma just runs AdWords. So 80% of the search terms triggered no AdWords ads. Nobody had anything that matched enough to show up as an ad. I thought that was ridiculous. I asked 3 times if they were serious, but they really were. But, I mean, real people do all kinds of weird stuff when they're searching that I don't do. I try 2 or 3 searches and then I give up and go ask somebody. I mean, my wife will sit on a search engine for an hour and a half trying to find a very specific piece of information that she can't get, that her sister knows, but she doesn't want to call her sister and ask. There are some things that we weren't meant to understand. Google's algorithm and Gina's algorithm for figuring out what the name of that TV show that was on HBO that she liked so much that they took off the air like 5 years ago, and then she had to get the DVDs, but she didn't know if she could find them because she didn't know the name of it. And so, anyway, okay. Hour and a half, and I called her sister. So, anyway. Let's talk about feedback loops. One thing that is fairly common and fairly popular among people that manage search campaigns is you want the client in pay-per-click so that their paid advertising campaign can do some of the work for you. You want them in paid inclusion because that also does some of the work for you. But if you run a pay-per-click campaign, if you just take your 50 best search terms and you run a broad match and phrase match and exact match on AdWords, just throw them in a campaign and let it run, okay? Spend the money. It's research. You might even make some money. Who knows? It could convert. It could always happen. You might have actually got your site ready for the traffic. But what you want to do is get those broad matches in and then look at your log files and say, okay, well, I had a broad match on web hosting. Well, I got searches for web hosting Connecticut. Okay, well, I want to feed that back in as an exact match. If I'm getting enough referrals, I might even want to go and dig into Word Tracker and get some modifiers and build SEO content around it. So, there's sort of a feedback cycle there where you can get a lot of data out of paid advertising, even at a low level, that, it's like having a site search. Even if it's at a low level and you're not getting that much data, the data that you're getting is pretty interesting. You want to feed that back into exact matches, and you also want to feed that back into negative matches. And negative matches, we all know what that is. It's typing -free into your AdWords campaign so that you don't show up when people search for free web hosting. For us, when we started doing AdWords, and we had to test everything, right? So we threw a broad match for the word keywords in there just to see what came in. Well, 15% of what came in was people searching for type AOL keywords or search terms here. I fear for humanity when I see stats like that, because how the hell are we going to figure out nuclear bombs when you can't, I mean, not only, I mean, okay, accidentally click the search button, but then they clicked on an ad. So, you know, we've got negative matches for AOL and type and here, and that seems to have filtered out almost all of the people that go to some search engine that has some words populating the search box already, which if you've got a site search box and, you know, you do have that in there, expect. I mean, it's kind of cool. Actually, just put, you know, inner search terms here in your search box as a default. See how many people search for inner search terms. It's great. You know, you have to get these feedback loops going. You know, your pay-per-click data can feed back into your SEO. It can feed back into your content strategy. You know, you can overdo it. You can obsess, right? Get a report once a month and take action on it. Don't look at it every day. Don't watch live sessions and try to figure out what it means to your keyword strategy. Okay, you can overanalyze. You can overdo metrics. I know people that will spend 4 hours on click tracks, just clicking and watching. Oh well, they went from this page to this page. I'm like, dude, you're supposed to be running the company. I mean, yeah, it's cute, it's pictures, but let somebody else do that stuff. But anyway, you know, your SEO when you get search terms in, it might tell you something about what other search terms matter. Which of your modifiers are triggering searches? Which ones? Which new modifiers did you find out from paid search that you didn't find from Word Tracker, etc. It can all feed back into that. Another thing, you know, in terms of, you know, we're getting into more of the advanced SEO side, but one of the things you need to understand, you know, target audience segmentation, conversion, and profitability for keywords. With 5 clicks and you converted 1, that's not a 20% conversion rate. That's 5 clicks and you converted 1. Okay? When you get 5,000 clicks, then you can talk to me and tell me what your conversion rate is for that keyword. But I see people all the time going at the end of the month and turning off all the keyword bids that had a 0% conversion rate. And some of them had like 3 clicks. I'm like, is your target conversion 100%? Because that's really the only place where I would find that standard sufficient to do that. But people do it all the time. The other thing too, and one of the cool things you can do with pay-per-click is actually ask people what they were looking for. You can ask them by just asking them. I've seen people that, you know, do sort of an AdSense play where they'll do market research with a pay-per-click campaign that goes to a survey, and people fill out the survey and they build a mailing list and they find out information about what the market wants. Kind of cool. The other thing you can do is just, you know, have a landing page that has 3 offers. You know, for us, for example, if we had a landing page that said, you know, get a report, you know, 10 tips for do-it-yourself search engine optimizers, 10 tips for people that want to make money on AdSense, 10 tips for people that want to sell search engine-friendly website design. Probably a better title for that last one. I'd need to get someone else to do that. But, you know, come up with 3 or 4 offers that help people self-identify as being part of some target audience or another. I see all the time landing pages that are dedicated to like one audience segment. Like they've already figured out that this is the only kind of you know person that's coming through. It's just not right. You know, find out if it's 30% doing this and 60% doing that. Then, you know, maybe there's some way you can actually, you know, segment within the keyword strategy and find find more refined search terms that help you drive that 30% somewhere else. But sometimes, you know what, you got to split and just let the page do more than one thing. You got to speak to the audiences that are there. When we talk about selling in our training classes, we talk about Miller-Hyman strategic selling concepts. One of the concepts there is what kind of a buying mode someone is in. And in B2B, it matters a lot whether someone thinks, we're okay right now, but we need to get better, or someone thinks, we're okay right now, but things are going to get worse. It's really, in either case, there's a gap between the results they think they need and the results they think they're going to get. But in one case, you've got someone who's, you know, trying to grow, and other case, you've got someone who thinks they're going to shrink. Either way, they don't think they're going to be the right size in a couple months. But understanding that people are coming in motivated by different things, you can do a lot when you get into your website to find out sort of what sort of buying mode they're in. Are they in a comparison mode? Are they in, do they click on the link to product comparisons, or do they click to the link for the best product price, right? I mean, if you've got a shopping search, you've got search by price, search for features, search for information. If you can offer all that, figure out for the search terms that you're targeting, the traffic is coming in, what are they after? Most of the battle is off the search engines after they get to your site. So that can feed back into content strategy, that can feed back into keyword strategy with SEO, et cetera. I'm not even going to try and deal with paths and that kind of stuff in the time we have. Paid inclusion. Two things useful about paid inclusion. Okay, well, one of them is that they call your site. But the reason why a lot of people think that it should be labeled as paid advertising is that you can actually do a lot on a Yahoo to improve your rankings, modifying page count, et cetera. If it would have taken you 2 months to figure out the right blend to get to the top spots, it might take 3 weeks if you're doing paid inclusion. They're coming back every couple of days. So that's one thing. It's not really the best reason to do it. The best reason to do it, though, is to get that reporting that comes out of Yahoo when you can see, here's the search term. Here's where I was ranked when they clicked. Geez, if I could just get that from my pay-per-click stuff, I'd be gold. If I could actually get Google to tell me what the search term was, instead of having to try and fish it out of my logs, oh man, I would probably bid double just to get that. But you can get that with paid inclusion. And so the reports that you get, the data that you can get, can be quite valuable in going back and helping to inform your keyword strategy, because with paid inclusion, you actually see the search terms. Now, you can get some of that by log file analysis, but you lose about 30% of the data when you do log file analysis, because not every browser actually sends that data through to your web server. And the number that don't send that data through is going to continue to increase. There are browser accelerators that have the privacy proxy feature built into them now. Norton Internet Firewall and all these other things, they're cutting cookies. They're cutting referrer strings from what they send to the web server. And so longer and longer it goes, the less you're going to be able to rely on just getting that data out of your logs. Yes?
For inclusion, are you talking about Yahoo's paid inclusion?
Yeah, Yahoo's the only major search engine that has a paid inclusion offering at this point. I liked the Inktomi program better because I didn't have to pay per click, but for what I do, I can pay several dollars per click and usually be okay if it's targeted traffic. So paying 15 cents to get good data it's not a brainer. That means it's a no-brainer. It means you don't really have to think about that much. Okay, so let me see where we are here. Competition metrics, and we kind of talked about that a little bit, and I'm going to wrap up here and just go through the report real quick. In title and in anchor, those are basic searches that we can do. SEO 101 is putting the search terms in the page title. So you want to find out who's doing that. How many of them are doing that? And heck, why not? Where are they? SEO 2001, using the search terms and the links. One thing, you can do the search on Google to find out who's used the keywords in the title and in incoming links. And you can actually go through that list and fish through and figure out who your competition is. A lot more effectively than just by looking at the search results. And it's, problem is you're trying to rise above this big cloud of noise. Now, you're going to be smarter at it than most of the people making noise, but there's a lot of them. The only good thing is that their efforts are split, right? If they all teamed up, they'd kill you. Wait, you're all teaming up, so okay, you'll kill them. But also link popularity. Alexa gives us a very cool number, which is the number of unique web hosts linking to the target website. So we'll look at a website and we'll get like 1,200 links from one source and 12,000 links from another source and 70 from Alexa, because all those links actually only came from 70 websites. So that's kind of cool information. Yahoo gives you the best look at the number of links to a web page because they don't filter them like Google does. Google gives you some random number that they change how it's displayed constantly to keep us stupid. Just don't even look at it. It's useless. And Teoma shows you topical authorities and clusters of web pages around a topic, which can be very, very useful data. More so for researching link partners and that kind of thing. Let me do one quick question here that goes well beyond the scope. But with a given search term, is it worth the effort? SEO takes effort, but you need to have content anyway. If people are searching for it, even if you don't think you can sell it, or even if you don't think you can compete in the organic side, it's going to look kind of dumb if people go to your web hosting site and you don't have a page about web hosting because it was too competitive, right? I mean, it's just going to look dumb. So you need content anyway. You might as well optimize it. It's not going to take you that much longer. High competition and high cost search terms, stuff where it might be a $10 bid, or there's a lot of competition but really low volume. There's probably a bunch of idiots out there throwing paid links at it anyway for 10 visitors a month. You might be better off just paying the $10 for a visitor and getting it through pay-per-click than trying to do SEO on really low volume stuff that's got high competition. Just because this is one of those spaces where there can be too many idiots involved. Actually, pretty much any area of human endeavor there can be too many idiots involved, but SEO is definitely one where there are too many idiots involved. So, given equal effort, you may want to consider conversion first to free up resources. Can I double the traffic or can I double the conversion rate? Well, if it's the same amount of effort, I'll double the conversion rate and I have twice as much money to spend getting traffic.
On the tail end, keyword modifiers. Do those modifiers when you put them on the page, do they have to be next to the main keyword, or can, for example, discount web hosting? Could I use, get a discount when you buy our web hosting? Could that be on the same page?
I'll tell you how it's going to work. If someone searches for discount web hosting and you have those exact words in that exact order, it's a closer match than you having web hosting and discount somewhere on the page.
So it's a proximity issue.
It is and it isn't. I can tell you that with Google we see strong evidence of something that I refer to as implied quotes, which is there's actually fairly simple and very quick, cheap things that they can do to determine whether the search query that was typed in is frequently used as a phrase or if it's just a jumble of random words. And that essentially if you type in something that is a jumble of random words, word proximity seems to be far less important than if you use something that is sort of seen in language as a phrase. And it's really easy to do that. They do a search for for that exact and find all. So they do a phrase search and get 10,000 results back, and then they do a search that doesn't have the quotes around it to make it a phrase, and they get 15,000. Well, then they know that 2/3 of the time that's used as a phrase, 10,000 versus 15,000. So that they know that a substantial amount of time that's used as a phrase, and so you get sort of the implied quotes where word proximity and word order matters more than if you just typed in some 3 random words that don't ever get used together in a sentence, in order. You'll get stuff where the words can be, you can end up by any other measurement just as competitive, but for some reason the words can be just all over the page with that, and so you really can't. If you're going to target discount web hosting, target discount web hosting. What you're doing with these modifiers is making sure that you catch all the weird ways that discount PHP web hosting Connecticut.
But would you use that on the same page as discount web hosting? Because if you did that,
you would take pretty much all the relevant modifiers that you can fit into usable copy. You don't throw every word out. You'll end up with a list of 500 possible modifiers if you go through this process with enough of your search terms. You're not going to use them all on every page. That would be a crappy web page. But what you are going to do is you've kind of got a list, one from college. You fill in your copy with some of these words, and the idea behind it is just that you're going to trigger your site in more searches where it's more targeted, and you're going to be generally bubbled up to the top.
So you have to think about the words of of your audience. Like, for example, now, not that I've ever sped in my life in a car or a vehicle, but sometimes you do, and they give you traffic tickets, and you have to go to court, and then they sometimes send you to a nasty class like this that makes you listen to people like me all day, and put you to tears. And so anyway, but in Texas, now who's from Texas? Anybody here all from Texas? Did I do that? Into Texas. In Texas, I think they call their traffic school like driver improvement or something like that. Do we know? You guys ever got any tickets? Never been to Texas? I got all, what is this? SEO Good Driver School. But in California, it's called traffic school. Okay? No, it's defensive driving school in Texas. It is driver improvement school in Virginia, and it's traffic school in California. So there's often a regionality to knowing your audience and how they use their words. Okay? So, who would like to be at the top for the keyword phrase insurance? Who thinks they would like to have the number one listing for that? Okay? Think this got a lot of searches, the word insurance? You could not give me that keyword. I don't really want to be on the top. You know why? Here's another thing to watch. You got to know, one, it's going to be hard to get there. And I don't like the big battles, but I was just, sitting up there thinking about kinds of insurance. There's life insurance, term insurance, whole life, health, pet, flood, earthquake, dental, car, auto, motorcycle, DUI, liability, renters, boat, long-term care. These are just a few of the ones that I thought of right off the top of my head. So these are what you call key phrases that they're going to cause second search keyword phrases. If we looked at the numbers, you'd say, yeah, I want to have insurance. That is really a good keyword phrase. There's lots of people doing that. I'm going to get a lot of traffic. But all you're going to do is get a traffic that are going to do a second search. So when you're really thinking about this, you want to get your keyword phrases down as low as possible. You use the tools that he just showed you and things, but you got to think, am I at the bottom rung? Or are they just going to have to do another search because the likelihood of, there's only 10 different listings on that first page. And there's far more different kinds of insurance than 10. So the likelihood is they're going to do more searches because they're not going to find what it was they were looking for. That was just a little point I wanted to bring up. So I didn't really know you were supposed to do this scientifically about finding keywords. Coming from my upbringing is from the Ozark Mountains of Missouri. My father was the first person in our family ever to graduate from high school. Tell you, did I make it through college? Well, I was thrown out at an early age. That's the truth. That's the truth. I started my first business. I happened to use their money for the college loans and things. They seemed to take offense to that. I bought a women's health club with it. But yeah, it's a whole other story. Okay, so anyway, what you want to do when you're looking for keywords, this is the Ozark, Missouri method here, is you look for the who, what, when, where, and why of keywords. Okay, what I'm looking for is who is going to use my thing, who's going out using for the traffic school. And I try to find keywords that are related to the who. I look at the what. What are they going to do with whatever it is I have? All right? And we're going to go to some examples in this just a second here. The why. Why do they want what it is I have? What's the reasoning behind it? Because often the words of the why, the who, the what, the where, the when, and the how has nothing to do with the exact keyword phrase. And I'll just skip down here and I'll give you an example. And let's just look for spying to catch your cheating spouse. Now, the product you're probably selling in here is maybe some little camera. It may be a private detective agency. It may be some spyware that you put on their computer. None of those words are contained in the sort of the why here. The person is getting on here because they want to catch that lousy be-something word, that's been cheating on them. So she's out looking to see, how can I catch that son of a gun? All right? So that's what her goal is when she's out there. So what we want to do is be ready to catch the why words as much as what she's looking for. What she's really looking for is a private detective agency, some spyware or something. And most of us would have gone for those phrases. But you have to think about the why behind everything. Okay? You got that part? Is it making sense? All right. So now let's just go with some fun and show how these things in real-life websites. We're going to go to yahoo.com. I'm just going to pick Yahoo because when I was playing up there, I was using Yahoo, and I made the slides for Yahoo. So we'll use Yahoo. Plus, I like Google. Okay. And what I'm going to search for is, let's talk about abbreviations. Abbreviations are very powerful, okay? And the one we're going to do is LSAT test prep. There's a whole bunch of attorneys, you know, Brad. How many attorneys do we have in the room? Wow, that's a first.
That must have slipped through. Sorry.
Yeah, I can't even make all my dead attorney jokes, you know, now. But okay, so what we were searching for is LSAT test examination, because a lot of people, I didn't know what LSAT stood for, but I think it stands for law school, you know, admissions test. You know, that's really funny because the #1 website is mine here. Or, okay, I think it's, no, not the #1. Take that back. LSAT, no, I'm not down here. Go down here a little bit further. Let's see, where's mine? I thought I was #1, but, you know, things happen. Let's see. Okay, well, anyway, somewhere in here there's one. But notice how these use the words LSAT. So the next thing you want to do is do the reverse of it. You want to say law school admissions test prep or preparation. Now, see, there's the word abbreviating again. How many people say prep half the time? So many people say preparation. So you have to be thinking about abbreviations. You know, especially if you're dealing with the federal government or the military, those people are abbreviate, you know, they're nuts about this stuff. So as you do this, now if I'm looking for one still, okay, just, yeah, law school admissions test prep. Let's see if we show up here. Law school council, move down. Here it is. Okay, here's my site here. So when I'm making this here, I have LSAT test prep. Then I write out what the abbreviation means, law school admissions test. Now, here's some tricky stuff too. I want to talk just a quick second about long titles versus short titles. Sometimes when you're in a really tough market, you have to pack your keyword phrases really tight. Like, I'll show you a site in a little bit here that I totally screwed up because I got greedy and started making a long title. There's a rule. If you have a #1 listing, never change the title. No matter what you want to do, never change the title of a #1 listing, ever, for any reason. Because you disappear like I did a couple days ago. Now, the amazing thing is I changed it back, and I'm back again. So now, here, since this is not an extremely competitive category, I am making a long one. And you have to make a title is also a headline, because this is showing up here. And mine says LSAT test preparation, law school admission test. Of course, exam preparation and practice means a higher score. Now, I was trying to make a headline, but I'm also packing in some other keywords into this. So when you watch here, if we did search, we can do search for LSAT test course preparation and things like that. And this website will keep coming up and up for these different things. Because someone was asking about proximity here a little bit. Yes, the best one I have on here was the LSAT test prep. That's the one I had the most likely chance of winning on because it's at the beginning and it's all tied together. But whoever was asking about the proximity, those words are in close enough proximity to make that work. And I will continually be on the front page, 9, 10, sometimes on the second page, but for a whole lot more keywords because I made that long title. If this was a competitive phrase, I would not have tried that. I would have gone for just LSAT test prep or LSAT, test exam or something. But I can get away with it and keep scoring more and more here all the time on this. All right, let's go back to the little my little outline page. Yeah. Let's see if we can find it here. Okay, so that's abbreviations. Now let's talk about regionality. Okay, he was talking about, we kept seeing that thing, and he said Connecticut, something was just somebody messing around. They were, it was some weird phrase and had Connecticut in it. I don't remember what it was. What was Connecticut web hosting? And he said, what difference does it make in Connecticut, right, ever? So, but the thing is, regional terms often do. For some reason, people think that I want to get a deal with a host that's close to me. I want a Cleveland web host. I want to think, there's 50 states. Did you know that? I finished high school. There's 50 states. There's 3,123 counties in the United States. There are, I wrote down the number, I think there's like 31,900 and some odd cities in the United States that are over 25,000 people in population. Okay? Sometimes these things work great to make web pages for regional type things. And it's surprising how many regional things there are. So let's just take this, go back to this traffic school, and we're going to search for Sonoma County Traffic School. Okay? And we're going to go into Yahoo and copy this. See, this is why I don't want to do this. But he's smart. I was going to try typing it. I knew I was going to blow it all the time. All right, so we're searching for this Sonoma County Traffic School. Now, because traffic school, you get a ticket one place, you have to do the traffic school where you got the ticket. All right? Let's take, dentists. People don't usually want to go get a dentist in their hometown. There's so many things out here that are regional by state, by city, by county. And when you start using them as modifiers, so let's see, traffic school online. Hey, I happen to be number one again. Amazing how that happens. Okay? But you could pick any county in California or most of the United States, and my websites will show up because I have used those modifiers carefully with, city, state, and zip. So let's just play here in the back to how we got to traffic school with the speeding tickets. Let's go to California speeding ticket. Now let's look at a page and sort of dissect it a little bit as to how these modifiers get placed into a page. Now, the signal is when I bore you, you go, okay? Got that, and just in case. All right. All right. Oh, hey, I'm number one again. Amazing. Okay, so let's look at that page. You'd almost think I knew what I was doing. Okay. All right, so let's just take a look at this page a little bit. How are we doing this? Here comes this list of counties that are in California. All right? This is every county. Now, this is a double trick, and let's check top of the income stream that goes with this, because winning in searches is useless if you can't make any money from it. So here it goes. If it becomes necessary to check out, check into taking, California Traffic School online over the internet to, of course, keyword stuffing here because Internet Traffic School, California Internet, these are all words in here. Then hit one of these counties. This goes to an affiliate program for traffic school for all those counties. All right. Here I'm actually selling another affiliate program, which is a book on how to beat your traffic ticket. All right. Now, if we scroll down, we would also find, if you start doing some searches for California cities, that the same page is going to show up all the way to the bottom. All right. And here it says, learn if you can, and how to get out of a speeding ticket in any one of these cities. Okay. Look how I implemented these other words into the page. I made it look like it made sense for actually having them. See if you can actually beat a ticket in these cities. But I'm willing to bet that if we take, Berkeley speeding ticket, okay, or Berkeley, California speeding ticket, that this page will show up at a fairly high position. All right? So this is the use. And you can do this with so many words. Mini warehouses. Just think of anything. Flowers. I don't know what you guys are all selling here. Homeschools. Just put the regional words times 31,019, and you're going to get a lot more traffic to your website. Okay. No, thank you. Okay. All right, so let's go back to my outline again. We should have just probably bookmarked that sucker, but okay. So let's talk about the next thing. So we had the California, there was the city one, the Fresno one. Okay, so let's talk about brands. Another form of modifier, which is common, is things that have brand names. Now, I'm just going to take, for example, here. Now, we could pick any brand name you want. And we'll play the same game. But let's just take, like, Travel Pro Luggage. Okay, there's Travel Pro, there's Briggs & Riley, there's Toomey, there's all these phrases. And this is a really common way for people to do searches, is brand name your main keyword phrase. So we'll just search for, Travel Pro, and we'll see how this does. So we go and we put our search in, and we'll watch how this is implemented. But there's different levels. There's brands, there's models. We don't have to do all the searches here, but you'll start to watch, and you'll see these pages come up, and I'll be in here somewhere. There are Luggage Pros number 3. So, oops, I slid. I was hoping for number 1s every time, but no, I'm only number 3. Okay. All right. So, but watch the title in here, Travel Pro Luggage, discount Travel Pro Platinum. I'm using, because in luggage, besides having a brand, there are these sub-brands. they're not exactly down to the model level. I'm not even sure what the word is because I know nothing about luggage. But this is like a classification of Travel Pro luggage. All right? Now, when we finally get down to it, we're going to find at the brand level, let's go back to the notes again. I think I wrote down one of the brands off here. So an actual brand or model number would be Travel Pro Luggage Crew 5 or Travel Pro Crew 5 Deluxe Tote, where they're actually using the the full model number. This is your best traffic. Am I still on? Yeah, okay. This is your best traffic because these people know what they want to buy. Those, I would rather win on a little tiny term like that than often really big terms because these are buyers. So I focus a lot on how to win in this. And we're going to go into about structure, about how to actually set up your pages for this. And you can see this if you want to see one of these, what it looks like. You want to see it or not? Okay, you want to see it? Okay. Go with the Luggage Pros one, this one here. Travel Pro Luggage Index.net. Discount. Now notice the word I put right there, this one there. Number 5. Okay, so here's a page that was carefully designed to win on, Travel Pro luggage. And then here you'll see where I'm moving down to those other layers, the Crew 5, the Flight Pro 3, the Business Collection. I'm using whatever they call those other subtopic portions of it. And then when you go down to one of these, like Travel Pro Crew 5, we'll get down to the model number level, okay? The detail levels. Or we won't. But, okay, so now we're starting to actually see the different models and things and the pricing and such out here, where it says, Travel Pro 5 Deluxe Garment, and then this will take you down to a detail page. It may be a little bit of a hierarchy. It does make it easy for the user to find what they're looking for, though. But it also has an extremely big advantage from a search engine optimization standpoint. Okay? All right, so let's go back to the outline again. That's model numbers. All right, let's talk about, since we're on luggage here, let's talk about garment bags. Now, here's the one I was talking about. Let's search Yahoo for garment bags. Now, 2 days before this, I actually made this website. We're going to talk about this website quite a bit, the garment bag one, because I made it exactly for this conference a few days ago, maybe a week ago when I knew I was coming. I wanted to. I'm always making websites for these things to show you some things. So I'm number 1 for the phrase garment bags. Okay, this is a fairly new website. This is not a really old website. This is a fairly new one. Now, what I did was I made this really long title. It went out to about here the other night, right before I left. I said, I want to get some more stuff, to show up on. And so I wrote this, and then, bam, I was gone. Like, I could even find myself in the first 1,000. So yesterday I was freaking out about this. Because, here I wanted to show, hey, Ken, you're hot stuff. You got number 1 listings. Impress you all. And, I was, number 1,000 or something. So I changed it back to what the original one. And lo and behold, thank goodness, about Yahoo spidering and changing fairly quickly. I didn't realize. I thought I was going to be sucking pond water, in front of you here. But yet, here it is back again today. So that shows you how fast you can screw up and get back. Okay? But never change a number 1 listings title, ever. Okay? All right. So we were talking about garment bags. So let's talk about tearing an item apart, is where I'm going with this. Often I don't know, but okay. So our big thing is the garment bags. This is our whole thing. So next thing we're going to do is we could go into garment bag brands, once again by using the brand modifiers, but we've already been down that path. Send me back to the outline so I can remember what I'm talking about. So we go into types. Often there are types of items. There are vinyl garment bags. There are wedding garment bags and things, all right? So these are actual types. And then as we can get down into materials and things. So let's just look for wedding garment bags in Yahoo. What's the bet? Who wants to bet against me? What's my ranking? Come on, I got money. Any takers? I got this money from that guy. How did I get that money from you, by the way? I gave him some advice. He tripled, and he pays. See that? That's good stuff. You want to triple your stuff? Learn about these things. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, you should have took the bet. I didn't hit number 1. I hit only number 2. Okay. So, want to go for vinyl? Double your money on me? Okay. All right. So anyway, there's types of items. There's, wedding, there's vinyl and things. And if you go, actually, let's go to that website and look what I'm doing here. Okay. Now, the thing about doing search engine optimization that I hate to break this to you is it's actually work. And 98.999% of the time, it's really boring work. I mean, it is really so many times I'm working at the computer nodding off as I'm writing because this is so darn boring to write. But I do like the money. Okay. All right. So what I did, I actually used some of the techniques that you were taught by that actually intelligent person that was here before me and who taught you about how to find all these cool keywords and what really you should go after. And I started writing articles about things. But I found out that there are garment bags, there's wheeled and rolling garment bags, there's leather garment bags, there's plastic, there's storage, there's children's, there's diaper bags. I don't know how that gone there. There's travel bags, there's clear garment bags, there are luggage ones, there's Samsonite ones, there's dance ones, okay? These people were all searching for those things. So I started to write exciting articles about diaper bags. I'm like an authority on that subject, So it just goes to show, by the way, you do not have to be an authority on any subject. And actually, they're not bad, these articles, if you ask me. And so here's the one. Okay, let's just look at it. Wedding dress, pretty poor HTML up there. There are 3 types of wedding dress garment bags, and chances are the modern bride will wind up using all 3. The first wedding dress garment bag you will encounter will be the bag that displays the wedding gown while it is on the rolling rack at the garment rod in the bridal salon. Did you know that? I didn't, till a couple days ago. But this is all original content, and I'm now a white, she has a question here. What? How do I get it? That's a good question. The internet is a wonderful place. People write about all kinds of stuff. What's the old expression? Let your fingers do the walking. Let your fingers do the typing, and you can learn almost anything about anything. So I just become an instant expert by actually reading stuff from people who know stuff about, stuff. If I use the word stuff too many times, just stuff it down my throat, would you please? Okay. All right. So anyway, this is how I do this, and I write about amazing things that I know nothing about all the time. And I just sit and take notes. I get all my keywords. And we're going to talk about that in the next session after thing about how to write for SEO. And I'm going to get into it and show you some of my favorite pieces that I've written. Okay. So anyway, we're talking about types. Now you can also tear your item apart. Believe it or not, garment bags have multiple parts to them. They have handles. They have zippers. They have material and things. So I take it down. I start tearing these things down. The big thing, which is the garment bag, the types, the brands, the models. And we tear it all the way down. If you go back to the home page on here. I didn't have a home page thing. Oh, I went straight to it. Didn't have even a home button on there. What kind of guy am I? Scroll down and see if there's a home button anywhere on this page. No. Now, you think I was just kidding. Think that maybe that was intentional? AdSense. If they can't get back to the home, they're going to have to leave some other way, right? Ooh, the plot thickens. So, just a little fun thing. Actually, I screwed up. But, why not make it sound like I was a little smarter than I was? But that is a thought. I'm serious about that. A lot of the things I do is to make people leave in a certain way. And if I'm not selling anything, only thing I want them to do is either go to an affiliate link and buy a garment wedding bag or click on an AdSense ad. I really don't want them. I'm doing a course coming in August, and I call the course, Hurry Up and Get Off My Website so I can make some money. And because this is one of the big ways I make money is doing this. But anyway, I'm digressing here. So let's go back to my outline. So we talked about types, we talked about browns, we talked about models, things. These are all those keywords. He's going to give you this list of all these things. I'm just showing you how to implement them into your pages. Okay, so we did the things. If we did garment bag zippers, who's going to win? You are. Come on. Who's going to win? No money for you people. Okay, so we're talking about seeing. Okay, so back to the speeding ticket thing. I'm back here again. I have a lead foot, and maybe that's why I know so much about this subject. But so the other thing is about phrases, slang, expressions. Okay, we have a certain guy in this room who likes to say he likes to stomp the search engines. Wonder who that would be. Okay, now a lot of people say they want to beat their speeding ticket or fight their speeding ticket. These are expressions, their language, their slang, okay? But a lot of people are always using their slang, their natural language in their searches. So you need to trap and use those phrases. Now, once again, you should be able to pick up a lot of the slang phrases by doing your keyword research, But sometimes you just got to go out there and listen, to people on the street and just listen to them. Do you ever get a speeding ticket? Yeah, what'd you do about it? Oh, I fought that son of a gun, I beat that sucker, or whatever. Find their language. It's just like the pissed and the knocked up thing, okay? Find the language of your visitor. Okay, so we're talking about fighting. Okay, now let's talk about using other people's names. Believe it or not, I am an expert on needlepoint. Who believes that? Yeah, I got some swampland for you too, Ken. Okay. But I have a big needlepoint website. I'm a huge needlepoint website. And I got a partner for this, and she's actually a woman that knows about needlepoint. I know zip about needlepoint, or at least more now than I used to. And so the first thing you want to do is often find someone that actually knows about your subject. With me, that's just about everybody I need to deal with. So the thing is, I told her one day about making these pages, and she thought I was kidding her. Because she has like 5,000 different threads in needlepoint that she carries. And first I told her she was going to have to make a page for every one. And then she but she could sort of see the logic in that. And then I told her she's going to have a picture of every one of those. And that's about when I had to run down the block because she was chasing me with a bat, But first she thought I was kidding. And then she finally realized I wasn't kidding. But she did it. Now, let's play the game. Think of a color. Oh, come on. Be more original than that. Periwinkle. Let's go with periwinkle needlepoint thread. Okay, yeah. Do we know how to spell periwinkle? All right. Periwinkle needlepoint thread. That's actually 2 E's in needle. It goes to show I gave him a spelling test before he came up. He did better than I did, so I thought, hey, okay, he can type. All right. So, you think that's my website? First 2. Is that all I have? Okay. But see how this is working here. Light periwinkle and things. Do we want to see the page? You guys were mean to me a minute ago. No more showing you things. Okay. Oh, he's already there. Now, the color's a little bit odd on this because it doesn't really look periwinkle to me. That or I made another mistake on my website. But I got you here. So anyway, see how these pages are all hitting. My product pages are just nailing these things. We could play this game all day long, and I'm going to keep winning. You have a question? In what markets? Darn few. Darn few. I mean, you kept catching those jokes earlier when Andy was asking me, well, how many websites do you have, Ken? Yeah. And he said the 2, and he said 100? That may not have been that far off or so. I have a lot, and you're going to get a list of some of them. We're going to play together. Okay, so we were dealing with colors. Colors are modifiers. These are all these things when Dan kept talking about modifiers. Phrases are modifiers, states are modifiers, colors are modifiers, model numbers are modifiers. He's shaking his head. That's what he was talking about. I hope you were paying attention, okay? I'm just showing you how these things are used. Okay, let's go back to the thing. Let's see if they find some other things to talk about. Okay, so we were talking about the who, the what, the where, the when, and the why. All right, so let's talk. We did the little spy, catch your, spouse cheating things. Let's talk about, getting married, since there seems to be a lot of wedding favor people here. Okay, these guys are all into the what. They're into wedding favors and candle wedding favors, and I'm so wedding favored out from these people that I'm just about had it here. But yeah, who here it doesn't sell wedding favors? It's like, okay, yet, this is just a big sales, conference, so you can all get signed up in Kate Aspen. He just nails a few each more, the thing. So, all right, where were we? Oh, I digress. Getting married. Okay, so what is the situation? I sell situations. One of the highest things we're going to talk about later in conversion is selling situations. People do not buy products. They buy situations. Okay? That person didn't wake up in the morning saying, man, I'd really like to go out and buy a bunch of wedding favors. They thought about getting married. That is the situation. They're getting married. They're going to have a wedding, and they're going to need this product eventually. So where do you want to catch them? You want to catch them in the early stage at the wedding. That's where it all started. Some guy foolishly, very intelligently asked that woman to marry him. I just had my 16th anniversary, by the way. So I'm big on that. Well, she's big on it now. She's got a nice ring. But okay, so anyway, they start with getting married. That is the situation they're going for. That is where you get your first shot before everybody else does. Now, weddings are one of these regional things. People don't say, I live in California, let's get married in Wisconsin. They do sometimes go for things like Hawaii weddings and destinations. Those are also things, but they're not necessarily going to take their party favors or wedding favors with them. They do sometimes. Often they just go over and stand on the beach and say, I do, and kiss. So I'm going to switch off this in just a minute. There was one more thing that Dan, the really smart guy, told you. Got your name right? Yeah. Dan, the smart guy. Okay. That's NAD. Okay. All right. So he was talking to you about capturing the keywords while people are on your website. I'm a big fan of that. Matter of fact, I do it in two different ways here. So we're going to go to the first one here, and let's look at the website. We're going to click on this link that says About Aerobics. This is Aaron. He's my faithful new assistant until I give him too bad of a time. Okay. All right, this is another subject. As you can see, I'm a specimen of utter fitness. And that's what really, was so inspired about what happened to me and Jenny Craig that I built this website. So, and then on the top of my website, you'll often notice a search box to help people find things a little bit easier. So let's just look for, pick a phrase, any phrase. Diets? Okay, we do diets. Okay, so we put in diets. And as you see, it comes up with some nice, relevant, keyword phrases. It shows you where the words were used and what the article is that contains it, okay? That's how the website works and helps them find the content. A very nice feature for a website. Did I do it to help my users? No, I'd rather they just leave the website so I can make some money, right? Okay, but what I am learning some valuable information. So let's take a look at the back end. So we're going to go back to the page that had the other links. Okay, we're going to click on the one that says FM Search. Remember, bestwebpublishing.com. I'm not going to tell you where to get all these tools. They'll all be listed there with a whole bunch, tons more, okay? So you can find all these things. Okay, so this is the back end of this. The login name is admin. The password is... First I get a guy that can't spell, now I get a guy that can't hear. Hold the mic, would you? I think I may be using my fancy version of it. No, it was me that can't spell. All right. Okay. So this is the back end. This is how this looks at. You can, customize this to make it match your website and everything. So, but we're going to go down to number 6 here, which is search statistics. So what's happening is every day, this is showing me every month exactly what's going on. We'll go find June 2005. There's been 301 searches pop through that box right there. So we're going to click on June 2005. And we're going to see a list ordered by, what everybody's typing in that box. So we start to really get a real feel for what words and phrases are they using on your website. Who invented floor aerobics? What do we have? 3 people search for that. Who would have guessed? We didn't see that word. Okay. Yeah. I don't think I used that word, but, You guys are getting really bad. There's just no respect anymore. Okay. So anyway, this is the tool. This is what he was talking about. You put it into your website. It's easy to install, about 15 minutes or something. Now you got a really great feature, and you know exactly what they're doing. Now let's look at another part. Let's see if I put it on this web. Let's go back to the Real About Aerobics website. I'll just go to a new website. You like to see all my websites anyway, right? Let's go to parenttime.com. Or we could do a search for fetal baby monitors and see where I show up. Parent time. Remember what I said? I'm so no wonder I lose assistants all the time. Okay. I use them for jokes. Okay, now let's just go to this first article here, which is called Monitor Babies Beat at Home with a Monitor, whatever it says. Okay, so this is one of my pages. This is an article that I was writing about fetal baby monitors. Like I knew a lot about that. Okay, so we scroll all the way to the bottom. All right, now let's look, just not quite all the way, just go up a little bit more, right around here. So at the end of every article, I put a little box that says, did you find the information you were looking for? After reading the above article, what is still your biggest question? Okay, what I want them to do in their own words, this is what we call an ask campaign. It was developed by a guy by the name of Alex Mandassian. Okay, the software to do this is, on the No, it's on the bestwebpublishing.com website. Okay. Man, Alex does this really well. He teaches the audience to say the right things. You are untrainable. Okay, so anyway, they put their questions in, and what this Ask database does is it starts to break apart their phrases. It shows you which word groups they use the most often in their questions. It tells you what the number 1 word they use the most often, the number 2 words they use the most often, the number 3 word groups they use the most often while asking questions and doing things. This is another great way for doing keyword research. Okay. It also tells you how to modify your articles, what they're interested in, what things they don't understand. You get to learn the language of your visitor. Okay. Now, I also use this as a double reason. I use it to opt people in. They actually think I'm going to actually answer their questions. At no place on here does it say I'm going to actually answer your question. Why? Because I don't know anything about these subjects. Okay, but watch how I do the opt-in here. Okay, it says, first choice is I want to ask a question and receive the parenting tips. The second one says I only want to ask a question but don't want helpful advice. Which one do they choose? They choose the one that they have to get the parenting tips. Yes, I'm going to ask a question, but I don't want you to answer it. And that's how I phrase these things. It's like dealing with children. Do you want to clean up your room or wash the dishes?